So the Netherlands just backhanded the United States after they did something quite nasty to China. The United States and other NATO members, they all spy together, and very often they share the intelligence that they've gathered, usually on Russia or China. Well, the Dutch just said, we're not going to be sharing everything we find with you anymore. And it's true, we don't really hear very much about Dutch spies because that's how good of a job they do. I'm just kidding. Now, while it's true that maybe the Dutch intelligence networks don't have the reputation of, let's say, the FBI, the CIA, or even Interpol, they still do play a pretty crucial role, especially when it comes to cybersecurity, cyber warfare, and figuring out any incursions that China and Russia are making on European mainframes. And the Dutch are most likely doing this in response to a lot of erratic behavior in America's administration, especially when it comes to their Department of War and just overall leadership. But what makes this so ironic, even comedic, is that the Dutch are doing this to the United States shortly after they complied to American pressure to seize a semiconductor firm that is owned by the Chinese within the Netherlands. The Dutch government is not foolish. I think this is a very calculated FU to both sides. It's like the Netherlands just said to China and America, oh, I'm going to take this away from you and I'm going to no longer give you this. Would you like some beer, Trappist ale, and Lederkasse? And the answer to that question is always yes. Lederkasse is a beautiful caraway cumin explosion in your mouth, and Trappist ale is some of the best ale on the planet. I want as much of that in my face as possible. But aside from making deliciousness, the Netherlands is actually a very powerful and influential economy that flies under the radar. They are the 18th largest economy on the planet, yet they have a population of about 18 million people, yet they generate $1.3 trillion in annual GDP. Put it into this perspective, Saudi Arabia is one of the most powerful economies on the planet. They control a huge chunk of the world's oil supply, and their economy is smaller than the Netherlands. It's common knowledge that China is the world's largest exporter. No other country comes even close, aside from the United States. They are the world's second. But the Netherlands, a country with only 18 million people, is the world's fourth largest exporter. That is a huge scale of influence for that little country to have, wouldn't you think? The Netherlands port of Rotterdam is the largest one in all of Europe. They have about 450 to 475 million metric tons of goods coming through every single year. And it's absolutely safe to say that the Netherlands has among the best, if not the best, engineers on the planet. They are the number 2 food exporter on the planet, right underneath the United States. Remember, the United States is hundreds of times larger than the Netherlands, yet they are the number 2. Look at this. They produced $100 billion in food exports, and this is a country with only 18 million people. Do you understand how brilliant that is? Another crazy fact, 26% of the Netherlands is under sea level. Yet, is the Netherlands underwater? No, because they have the best engineers to deal with this problem. You know, Venice always has a problem when it's sinking. Venice is a city that's been sinking for however many centuries, and whenever the situation gets really bad, guess what? They bring in Dutch engineers to solve the problem. But this isn't just in Europe. Dutch engineers were brought into New Orleans in the United States. They're brought into Vietnam, Bangladesh, a whole bunch of other countries when they have a real problem of an entire city or landmass sinking. But of course, this brilliance of the Netherlands isn't limited to just food, agriculture, water engineering. It is also towards lithography. While there are a bunch of other countries that make semiconductors, and yes, Taiwan makes the best, there's only one country, the Netherlands, with their company ASML, and that company makes the machines that make the semiconductors. And for quite some time, China has been trying to reverse engineer these lithography machines, and they just keep failing. When you wrap this all up, you realize that the Netherlands is an underrated economic and intellectual superpower. So of course, the two most influential countries on the planet, the US and China, want to have their cooperation. Let me know if you were as blown away as I was about the agricultural engineering in the Netherlands, and also let me know what you think of the accent. Thanks for watching.